Rev up your engines!
Well, we get all these promises in the past about full self-driving cars. Well, now Elon Musk has finally admitted that the Tesla's HW3 self-driving software stuff might not support full self-driving. He said it was going to, but of course, as we all know, lies come out of his mouth. Elon Musk finally admitted that the Tesla HW3 might not support full self-driving, and he doesn't actually know what it'll take to do that. Now, millions of the Tesla vehicles have those HW3 systems. Now he's saying, well, they probably won't work. And I don't know how they could work. That was his big promise, right? Well, that's going down the toilet. Here's what he says, and I quote, "We are not 100% sure if it will. HW4 has several times the capability of HW3. HW4 is the newer system, right? It's easier to get things to work on HW4, and it takes a lot of effort to squeeze that into HW3. There's some chance that HW3 does not achieve the safety level that allows for unsupervised full self-driving." Well, none of his stuff does. Yeah. Right? And part of his problem is, what a lot of the engineers I talk to tell me, is that his system is flawed from the beginning. He's basing a bunch of stuff on cameras, right? The best self-driving stuff they're working on uses LiDAR, which can see through the fog, which has better sensors. But old Elon didn't want to spend that kind of money, so he's using cameras. Guess what? Cameras don't work in the fog. Maybe it wasn't the greatest idea to use a camera-based system. I see it all the time when people bring me cars. All these camera systems based on what? Cameras. The lens gets dirty, they don't work. Do people walk around wiping the lenses of the cars all the time? Of course they don't. Americans don't do things like that. But LiDAR goes right through stuff. It doesn't have to worry about that. And thermal cameras will see the thermal range. They're not just a plain old camera that, yeah, on a dry day it works great. But what about the rain and the fog? No, they don't work that well. And then to top it all off, he's saying, well, my old software systems, HW3, well, maybe they can never be made to work at that, right? I mean, the guy's promises so much crap to people. And then covering his hiney when it doesn't work, because they've made an awful lot of mistakes in their designs, and they just won't admit it. Now, here's an interesting one, kind of shows you the facade of what's going on. Tesla shows their net income rose to $2.17 billion. That's not that great if you think about it. That shows what a facade this stock is. I mean, their net income, geez, it's less than a percentage of the vacillation of the stock in one day. And the hilarious thing is, of that $2.17 billion, $739 million is those stupid credits because, well, he has electric cars. And if you don't know it, automakers in the United States are required to obtain a certain amount of regulatory credits each year. If they don't meet the target, they can purchase credits from companies like Tesla, which is excess credits because it only makes electric vehicles. Well, what a farce, right? He's got Tesla, but he's got his little space satellites, right? Do you know how much pollution his rockets put out? They put out so many hundreds of these satellites. They put out hydrocarbons like no tomorrow when they blast off into outer space. Maybe that company should have to buy tax credits from himself. All this nonsense makes your head spin. Anything that has to do with the government regulation, you know, is total horse manure. But the thing that really gets me is this insane valuation of the stock. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense, right? 1/3 of their income is stupid tax credits for the government for people who buy, oh, well, you know, Tesla electric cars don't pollute. They pollute. Making them pollutes. Charging them pollutes, this whole facade that these cursed politicians get into, that they get suckered into thinking that this thing is going to really stop. It's not stopping pollution. And then, like I said, his rockets pollute like mad, and he's blasting them off all the time. And they don't even only the scientists talk about that, right? Does anybody tie it all in except me? Not too many people tie it. They just, oh, look at this. Oh, look, they're great. No, they're not. And the figures don't make any sense. Geez, that small amount of profit for that kind of money, and the evaluation of the company, it's patently absurd. And all he does is come up with these ridiculous things. Oh, we're going to have robots. We're going to have self-driving cars. Yeah, sure. Now, here's how bad it's getting for Ford Motor Company. People are not buying their electric vehicles. So now, The 2025 Ford Transit, the Ford E-Transit, the electric one, is actually going to cost same or less than the gasoline version. They have to do it because they want to try to sell these things. Oh yeah, they're great. They've got all this technology, la, 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 la. Well, I'll tell you something, Ford. You're going to have a harder time selling these Ford Transit E-Vans than you are even your electric pickup trucks that are proven to be a massive failure that you can't sell. Because transit vans, people generally buy them for businesses, for commercial purposes. Who wants an electric commercial vehicle that you gotta sit and spend 2 to 3 hours a day or more charging it up? It's got a limited range. People who buy transit vans fill them up with tools, pull stuff. Guess what happens when you do that? The range of an electric vehicle, which is bad to begin with, goes down the stinking toilet. And it doesn't matter that they're charging less than the gas ones. If somebody's running a commercial business with a Ford Transit van, they're driving the heck out of that thing. I got customers that do that, and they might put 100,000 miles a year on that van. Try it with an electric vehicle and think how many hours you're going to be sitting there charging it up if you have the time. These things are not made for commercial purposes. Yet now they're selling them, and the only way they think they're going to try is, well, we'll lower the price so they're cheaper than the gas ones. I hate to tell you, a little bit price cheaper for an electric transit van. The businesses are just going to say, look, the gasoline one goes all these hundreds of miles, and then I can fill it up in 5 minutes. We're going all over the place doing business. If some guy uses it, let's say he does HVAC in subdivisions, he's doing a whole subdivision, all the heating and ventilation while they're building the houses, right? He can't afford to waste 2-3 hours a day charging that thing up while he drives around and picks up stuff and get maybe stranded somewhere and he can't get to the job. No, he wants something he can fill up and go into. He doesn't care about the actual price of the vehicle, that the electric one's cheaper. It doesn't fit these people's needs. As I've said numerous times, the bigger the vehicle, the dumber it is to be electric. Little small ones, hey, could be a great intercity transit thing, go small trips. Maybe back in the day where the husbands worked and the mothers stayed at home, and the mothers had a small car to go to the grocery store and stuff, and the father drove the big limo to work and stuff. People that live in a city have small destinations. Maybe they can be happy with a little electric car. But of course, Americans are no good at building small cars, so if anything, the Chinese will take that over. So what's Ford doing? Building these giant transit vans that are commercial vehicles that commercial people do not want to buy. Doesn't fit into their business. These guys have to amortize these things. They have to see how many deliveries they get, how much it costs to operate them per mile, and of course, the biggest thing is, what happens when they break and you want to get them fixed? Nobody knows how to work on these electric transit vans. Half the Ford dealers, they don't have mechanics that are trained to work on electric stuff. Ford originally said, now everybody who sells their electric cars, you got to have all this money you put in infrastructure to train them. And then about a year later or less, they said, oh no, any of the Ford dealers can sell any of the electric vehicles. Quick, we got to sell them. Quick, anybody can sell them. So you got dealerships selling them, but they don't have anybody that can fix them. Guys that run commercial stuff have to think about this stuff. And a lot of the commercial guys, they'll have their own mechanics, right? Well, their mechanics don't know how to work on a fully electric vehicles. So they're going to just say, wait, Joe knows how to work on these gas and diesels. Hey, that's what we're buying. We're going to buy this electric crap. And it doesn't matter what they price them at. Well, he says, I'm thinking about buying a Toyota Highlander. What do you think about that? They're excellent vehicles. But the problem is Toyota is starting to make all their engines smaller and turbocharging. So in this case, you're actually better off buying an older one that's still got the V6 engine. They're going to have problems getting a heavy vehicle like that and switching them over to four-cylinder engines. Look for the older ones. They're actually better. Abel Rodriguez says, do you have a shop in Houston? Well, I did for 46 years. It was 1141 West Bell. Now it is 2 yuppie townhomes instead of me. I moved to Clarksville to be with the 3 grandkids, and also in Rhode Island, a little bit less than half the year to be with the other 3 grandkids. So I'm no longer in Houston. I was there long enough, saw most things. I was downtown, so I didn't get into traffic jams. Now, my father-in-law, he lived way up on 1960 and commuted to the Galleria and back. What a disaster area that thing was, driving back and forth and back and forth. I woke up, I was at my address, 1141 West Bell. I walked outside and worked on cars. Then I filmed stuff with Crank It Up on CBS. Then I started on YouTube in 2007, and then things just took off. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.